Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ramblings Live. My name is Iman Griffin from the Westchester class of 2014, and I'm so happy and so excited to be with you today because today our guest is a triple threat. Okay, she is a model, she is a talk show host, she's a journalist. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you make sure you leave your name, your class, your year, and your favorite Westchester memory in the chat box. You'll win it. You'll get a chance to win that cute T-shirt that we see on the side. So if you want to win that, make sure you participate and join in for the show. We want to hear from you. So now let's get into our guest. So this week, our guest is Reid. I'm sorry, Danae Reid from the class of 2018. Danae, I'm so happy to have you today on the show. Please excuse me for mispronouncing your name. We just talked about it, and I know your name. I'm so sorry. How are you today?
I'm great, and also thank you for calling me a triple threat. I was like, oh my god, that's so nice. But I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. And honestly, I was just being generous. You're kind of more than a triple threat. You do everything. Like you edit, you write. And I love your energy. And I'm so excited to
Thank
just talk with
you.
you today. Your resume is just like fully loaded and super
Thank
impressive.
you.
So I'm
Thank
so
you so
happy that
much.
everyone will get a chance to know you more.
hmm
So let's just start with the fact where are you from?
So I'm originally from Abington, Pennsylvania, which isn't that far from Westchester, not too far from Philly either. So I was like 45 minutes away from campus. I grew up 45 minutes away from campus.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I'm super familiar with Edmonton from Philly myself. So not too
Ooh,
far, not too far.
awesome.
Where did you live on campus?
Yeah, so my first 2 years I lived in Brandywine, and I loved it there. And then I moved down south my last 2 years. So I was kind of like back and forth, but I also worked in Schmidt for my first 2 years too. So I know like a little bit about a couple of different buildings. I felt like Schmidt was like my second home. I worked there as a desk assistant. So it was kind of like my second home my first 2 years of college.
Nice. And what was
hmm
your major and minor?
So I majored in communication studies and then I minored in African American history.
Okay, nice. We'll have to talk. I majored in communications as well.
Ooh, okay.
All of this makes sense. We probably had a lot of the same professors.
I'm sure. They're amazing.
Now, I talked a little bit about you being a triple threat, but could you just share what your current professional positions are?
Yeah, that's I feel like it's such like a long list of things. So full time, I guess I'm a professional model. That's like my heart right there in my soul. I also work for the Philadelphia Sunday Sun as a freelance writer and also host. So I host my show as well. And I also have a column for them. I own a small business making bookmarks out of pressed flowers and leaves because I've always been super creative. And during the pandemic, I needed something to do and a way to make some extra money. What else am I doing right now? I do like some social media marketing and social media consulting. Uh, I'm like starting a podcast. I also host a show for my modeling agency as well. Well, one of my agencies. I'm signed to three. I think that's
See what I mean? I called you a
it.
triple threat and you just gave me like seven different jobs that you do. And I love that. It's so cool
Thank
and it's
you.
so inspiring to
Thank
just
you so
know
much.
that you're out here living your dreams and just going to get it your way.
You got to. You got to.
You really do. You have to. So I just want to take a moment real quick. We have Danette Reid in the chat. I'm not sure. Do you know someone named Danette Reid?
My beautiful mother, the best person in the world. She also went to Westchester, so
Yeah, shout out to Danette. You can see her comment below. Danette graduated from the class of 1990, and her favorite extracurricular activity was serving as a member of the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. We also have Lisa Wright from the class of 87, who's a proud Westchester alum. And we have Erica Martin. Erica Martin was a class of 1991. Her favorite extracurricular activity was serving on the board of BSU, the Black Student Union.
yeah, that's my auntie. Hey, girl.
I love the support. I love that, like your mom and your auntie are up in here. Like, yes, we are representing, and it's also nice to see that you come from a Westchester family.
Yeah, super Westchester family. So it's my mom, my aunts. They're like adopted aunts because they were also Deltas. I am as well. I pledged at Westchester. My uncle went to Westchester, so it was kind of like all up in the mix.
I love to hear that.
Mhm.
I was the first person in my family to go to Westchester, but I made sure I
Mhm.
wasn't the last. My little cousin is now in Westchester. I'm pushing
Oh,
her,
that's
all of
so
the
sweet.
kids. So
Oh, that's so sweet.
keep it in the family. You have to.
Yeah, you got to.
So you talked about your super impressive resume, but I would love to know if there was a professor or someone at Westchester that was influential in your educational experience.
Oh, my mom's reminding me that my dad also went to Westchester. Sorry, Dad. I forgot. Somebody who was super influential. Honestly, I always tell people this, like the comm department at Westchester is amazing. So all of my professors were pretty dope, but there's one professor that stuck out to me, and I tell everybody this because she's just amazing. Professor Timms Taylor. She actually wasn't in the comm department. She was my advisor for my Black Studies minor, and she also was one of my professors. And I love her to death because she really pushed me. And she's like not an easy teacher, but I feel like I know I kind of like got on her good side. I am on her good side. So that was that was really affirming to me. But also, just to tell like a quick story, I know like I mentioned that I model earlier, and I do all my campaigns with my natural hair, my afro. And my Professor Timms Taylor, was actually the one who was like asking me why I didn't wear my natural hair more. And, she was like, because I was really nervous about job interviews and not being able to get hired because of my hair. So I wore braids a lot, or I like wore twist outs a lot. And sometimes I would wear my fro. But I remember one day we were in the quad and she came up to me and she was like, why don't you wear your natural hair out more? Like, I really think that you should play with that. And so I told her my fears, and she was like, I think you should think about that and kind of play with something different. So ever since then I've been natural pretty much full time.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. It definitely can be scary, unfortunately, to wear your natural hair out. But when you
Yeah.
show up in like campaigns for like brands like Adidas like that, you definitely empower other, black girls to be okay with wearing their fro out and let people know that it absolutely is professional. So shout out to
Yeah.
that professor. And I know you mentioned that that professor wasn't an easy class, but those are
Mm.
the professors that really push you and help you to see what you're made of.
Yeah. Yeah. She did a couple other things for me, but that's the one thing that I'm like, thank you so much for that.
Love that. I love to hear it. We just talked about how you come from a Westchester legacy family,
Hmm.
but I would love to know like what stories or what happened, and what happened growing up. What stories did you hear to make you want to go to Westchester?
Well, like I said, like my mom and my aunts were just really heavily involved in our sorority on campus, so I was there pretty often. Like I said, my dad, my mom, my uncle, so I was kind of there for homecomings and like events and stuff like that. Like I remember my mom used to take me to Rho Alpha. The Rho Alpha chapter is the chapter that's at Westchester, and she used to take me to the step shows and stuff. And so I remember being like 6 and being like, the two things I know that I want for my life is that I want to go to Westchester and that I wanted to be a Delta. And that like never changed. I never like shifted perspective or anything like that. That was kind of always the plan. And so that's what I did.
I love that. I love like that. I'm sure that I want to go to Westchester, and I'm sure that I want to be a Delta.
Yeah.
What other extracurricular activities and organizations were you a part of when you were at Westchester?
Yeah, so I didn't realize how involved I was on campus until a couple weeks ago when I did the pre-interview. But so I went in under the Board of Governors scholarship, so I was a part of that
Wow.
community. Like I said, I worked for Schmidt as a desk assistant my first 2 years, so I did that. I loved that. I'm trying to go in order. I did the Frederick Douglass Society as well for a little bit. Then I joined WCUR, which I did from my freshman year to my senior year, and it's my baby. Like the picture right there, I'm like, I was such a baby, but I really loved that experience. Again, like I said, I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and I pledged on Westchester's campus in 2016. So I was a treasurer and also president my senior year. I wrote for the newspaper. I wrote for the Quad as well. I dabbled kind of in the TV news station sort of thing. I was in the honors college as well. and in an honors
I
fraternity.
love it.
I think that's. Oh, and I was a youth mentor. I always forget that I was a youth mentor. I helped out with the OMA. I don't think it's called that anymore, but
But you were someone who came to Westchester and was like, "Oh, I'm going to get the full experience and be as involved as
actually,
possible."
no. I was
Really?
really scared. Like I was my first year of college, I was kind of like insecure about my place,
Mm.
like in the world in general, but definitely on campus. So I was just going there and I just wasn't really like sure. I feel like I was just kind of floating at first. And then I had a friend who really pushed me to do radio and it kind of just grew from there. But I definitely wasn't the person who was like, oh, I'm going to do this and this and
Oh,
this and this.
wow.
I think I've always had like in my mind, maybe subconsciously, I've always had in my mind that I had these like big dreams and aspirations because I am aspiring to be like a syndicated host. So I always knew that I wanted to do a lot of things. I just don't think that I ever thought like, oh, I'm going to go to campus and I'm going to be this and this and this.
Right. It just kind of happened, but that's
Mm-hmm.
that's also great that that was your story because sometimes people who aren't as like maybe naturally outgoing, they don't have to feel like, oh, I have to be outgoing to be part of all these clubs or to have a
Yeah.
radio show. Sometimes like just one club will open you up and it'll snowball other interests and connections. So that's really nice to hear
Yeah.
that that was your journey.
Yeah, I think, just to like piggyback off of what I just said, I think I always was kind of extroverted, like I was on the cheer team and stuff in high school, but I went to school with a boyfriend, and I think that kind of like sheltered me a little bit because I'm like, oh, I have him, so I don't really need to make friends like that because he was there every weekend.
Mhm.
So I was like, I didn't really need to feel the need to make friends. So I think I was like extroverted. I was just very much like in an insecure space in my life and not
Right.
knowing where I fit.
No, and I'm so happy to see you kind of like blossom and
Thank
move
you.
forward, but that's just part of that college experience, right?
Yep.
So how did your major shape your career trajectory?
Yeah. So actually, I always knew I wanted to be a communications major just because I knew what I wanted to do. So yeah, I mean, the classes that I've had or that I had on campus, really just changed my perspective, and changed the way that I kind of view life and things like along those lines, and kind of expanded what I saw possible. And because communication studies is like such a broad topic, I really had a lot of things that I was kind of able to do that felt like it made sense. So I would say that that's how my major kind of helped me, is like learning how to communicate is really the core of everything. And
Yeah.
so being able to like communicate effectively is really important. And, again, for what I want to do, it's necessary.
Yes, as so necessary. It's necessary
Mhm.
on air in the emails and
Yeah.
so many different parts of the business. So you're completely correct. Um, did you set out with the goal to become a model? I would love to hear your journey and how you got on like an Adidas campaign.
So my journey is very unique in regards to modeling. I didn't grow up being like, oh, I want to be a model. It was always kind of like I want to be a talk show host. But I enjoyed taking pictures and I enjoyed being in front of the camera ever since I was like a little girl, and I've always just loved that sort of life. So actually, there's a lot of stories behind my modeling career, but I'm gonna tie this one into Westchester because I think that's the most important thing right now. So, like I said, I had a radio show. My first 2 years, I had a partner, and then my second 2 years, I was by myself. And so my senior year, I was like seeing the industry change and everything. I was on Instagram. I was seeing people doing these campaigns, like normal people, I guess is what they're called. Or what I would be considered. So I really initially set out on modeling as a way to get people to come to my talk show on Westchester's campus. So I was like, I was asking people to shoot with them for fun, like for free, and we were just both working together to kind of like network. And so they would take pictures of me and then they would post their Instagram and then they would tag me and then people would come to my page. And so I was like, okay, this is a great way to network, to get people not only to listen to my show, but to want to be on it. So shout out to Westchester Radio, because I don't really know if I would have taken it as seriously or even started if it wouldn't have been me trying to like network and to like strategically kind of put myself on a different level.
That's so amazing. That's such an out of the box strategy. Like, let
Yeah.
me like model, get my pictures posted. And it was like, especially in like I would say what this was about 2016, 2017 when you were
Yeah,
like executing this.
2017.
this was at the height of like social media connecting in that
Yeah.
way. So I think that's just so strategic and super creative, a super creative way that ended up being like a path and just another window into your career.
It's honestly, it's crazy. Yeah, I like to think about things strategically that way, like think about how like something could lead to something else. So in that case, it just ended up working out.
I love it. I love it so much. And that picture is just gorgeous. You are definitely serving it up with your natural hair. Love
Thank
it.
you so much. Thank you.
So you have your own personal brand.
Mhm.
How does your personal brand reflect who you are, your values, and your impact on your community?
Um, so like I said, I do all of my campaigns and stuff. Like everything is natural hair, whether it's this or braids. Right now it's tight. I usually like blow it out, pick it out a little bit more, but I digress. But I always stay true to like myself and what I want to do. I always say it's a blessing and a curse because I don't do anything that I don't want to do, and that's like in my brand and just outside of it. And it's a huge blessing, but it's also sometimes really not that great either. But I put a lot of emphasis on the things that I love doing and making sure that all of them are kind of incorporated. And it's really worked out for me in the life that I've chose because I'm able to kind of pick my schedule and do things when I want to do them. And that's really nice. So yeah, I guess I would say that my brand speaks to who I am just because it's like very authentic. Like nothing that I do is fake or forced. I
Yeah,
don't lie. I'm very straightforward. If I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna say on Twitter that I'm having a bad day. Or if I just like to be very like forthcoming with stuff like that because I think in my position a lot of people assume things and they assume that your life is like perfect all the time and super glamorous and just amazing, which it is. Like I love my life so much, but not every day is like super easy. So
yeah,
like authenticity is really important, like in every single aspect of what I do.
absolutely. You're still a human. And I know
Yeah.
sometimes it can feel like, oh, it's a bad thing if I say one negative thing or if I'm not happy. But I think that
Yeah.
it actually people need to see that you're just real
Yeah.
and it actually, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you can feel so far that it's only helped you to grow. It has never gotten
Yeah.
in the way of anything.
I mean, vulnerability, and that's still something that I'm like learning how to be more vulnerable with, the people I'm around and myself. But I found that it's been much easier for me in the past to be that way to a whole bunch of strangers or like at least very socially. So yeah, it's definitely like set me apart just being able to be honest with myself and like very forthcoming about who I am. Um, has definitely changed my life completely. And I'm happy that you said something about, how people think that being happy all the time is this thing because I really got into that mindset actually in college. I had this like I can't be sad mindset and all this stuff, but I'm
Not
still now
normal.
unlearning and like trying to I guess push through that, and I'm like in a much better space now. But I think before it was very much like I call it like toxic happiness because
Yes.
it's like this idea that you can't be sad or you can't be this and that, and so
Right.
that's why again like I make it a point to be very authentic in how I'm feeling um on set or just in life, or if I'm frustrated or if it has nothing to do with work in general, if I just woke up having a bad day, like I like to be very candid about stuff like that.
No, I love that. And I love, let's bring that more to work in all of our spaces. So I love that
Yeah.
that's a very intentional part of like your personal brand.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem. You've been featured on with various brands. Can you share some of them? Some of the ad campaigns or projects that you're just most proud of so far?
Yeah. So I always say that my favorite campaign is my first one, because I didn't know what to expect, because I didn't plan on being a model. Like I said, I started taking pictures for fun, 2017, end of 2017, and within like 3 to 6 months, I was signed to an agency, which never happens. And then within
Wow.
a year, I was the face of Starbucks 2018 Holiday Cup campaign.
Oh
So
my
I would say
gosh.
that, yeah, I know. That's why I always say like, when God has something for you, it's for you because my journey is crazy. But I always say that that's my favorite campaign. The one that I probably am most proud of, just because, like I said, like coming out the gate with something like that was a really, really big deal. Other campaigns, let me see. You showed Adidas. I did Nike. And Foot Locker this past summer, which was a huge deal. And that actually wasn't through my agency. They actually reached out to me themselves.
Wow.
And yeah, and that was really cool because my picture was in the Times Square Foot Locker window. And it's like in windows, like, oh, I don't know if it still is, but it was like in windows all over the country. Something else that I'm really proud of that's more recent. I did a Google Pixel campaign for their new phone. They had this, I guess they made this technology that gets skin tones and like hair textures more accurate on in photos. And so I was a part of that campaign as well, which was really cool to be a part of. Seeing like the rollout and the campaigns for that was amazing because it really felt like my work mattered. Like people again have this perception of what models do, and they think that they have this idea of what we are, and it's just very glitzy and it's kind of just all about the money or all stuff like that. But for me, and it's really important. So to be able to see something that was so important to me, like conveyed through my work, was really awesome. And my picture was in front of the Google in Chelsea, Manhattan. I'm trying to think. Neutrogena was cool. Kerry Washington
Wow.
commented on my picture on their page, so that was cool. I did Maybelline. I actually shot for them again this Wednesday, so I shot for them like twice within like 5 months, which is really really cool. I could go on and on. But something that I'm really excited about that I have coming out very soon is I shot for Sephora. Yeah, and it's like a huge campaign and it's coming out. Like I said, it should be very soon. I think it's for like their spring line, but my face is going to be in like every Sephora in the United States,
As it should.
Mexico,
As it
Brazil,
should.
and Canada. Yeah, and like that was my first time. Like I got flown out to LA and everything. So that was really cool. That's like my highlight, my most recent highlight. So
I
a lot of
love
big
it.
things, a lot of exciting things.
That is so exciting. Honestly, I'm over here like I was like smiling the entire time.
Oh,
I'm like so impressed by everything that you're doing.
thank
Real
you.
quick, let's just do a manifestation moment. Like, what would be your dream if you haven't already worked with them? What would be like your dream project or dream collaboration?
Ooh. I'm like trying to get more into like the high fashion space. So I would love like a Gucci campaign. Tom Ford. I was actually being considered for a project with them and it fell through. But hopefully it comes back around. But
Yeah.
honestly, if I had to choose anything, I would say those two. But I honestly, anytime I'm on set and in front of the camera, like it feels like a dream to me. So I don't necessarily have like a dream job because every job feels like a dream. I feel like my job is a dream
Yes.
that I didn't know I had. So I think just modeling and just continuing to expand and do bigger projects is really the most important thing for me.
I'm excited and I see everything you want coming to you. I truly
Oh,
do. So
thank you.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
I'm happy that I got the interview prior to everyone else. That's what this
Oh,
is.
yeah, that's so sweet. Yeah. So I'm really thankful that I was able to talk to you too. And I'm really grateful for, all that I do aside from modeling and stuff. My life is just super full. So I'm really honored that you guys were able to have me on here to kind of like talk about my experience and my journey. Because if you would have asked me in college, like if I would be doing any of this, I wouldn't have said no. Like I wouldn't have believed anything. So
Right. Sometimes it's nice to make our younger self super proud, and we're proud
mhm.
of you. We're kind of
Thank
like a
you.
community. It's nice to see someone from Westchester doing so many great things. We feel like it's like a collective achievement when we
Yeah.
see you doing great things. So, of
Thank
course,
you so
we
much.
have you on this show to talk about how, just you plus your journey led you right here. So, it's really, really great.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
so you recently were involved as a panelist in a Westchester University communications course, offering
Hmm.
to share your educational and professional experience. What does it mean to you to give back to this, Westchester in the ways that you do?
It means so much to me. I just remember, being on campus and seeing or having, alum come and talk to the class, and just hearing their journeys and their stories and thinking like, it was so cool. Or I don't even know how you got there, but I really enjoy hearing your story or feeling like I couldn't get there. I guess I want to say at the time, like I said, I was dealing with some insecurities. So hearing people's stories, I'm like, that's so cool you came to Westchester, but I also don't know if that could be me because I don't want to take your path. Like I don't want to do all the internships and stuff like that. So I'm like, how is this going to work out for me? That like full transparency, I did not want to do like internships or anything like that. I did, but not the ones that I should have. Anyway, for me now being able to go back and talk to students, it like really reaffirms myself for me. But I also love being able to talk to people and kind of just being like, yo, like even if you don't want to do it the way that I did it or anybody else did it, like it can absolutely be done.
That's
and
so
also
important.
like yeah, and also one of the things that I remember telling the students was like figuring out, just to piggyback off of what I said, figuring out the path that worked for them, because I had people who kind of like told me the way that they thought I should go, and I felt stupid or dumb because I was like, I can't do it. Like, for example, my dad wanted me to work at a news station, and then, use that as a way to like build up to the talk show hosting, and I was like, I do not want to be on the news, and
Me
I just
neither.
felt so and I felt dumb because I was like, I can't do it. Like especially 2016 came around in the election and all that stuff. I was like, I can't. So
Yeah, no, you did it your way, and
yeah,
it's nice to validate students and share the different paths. I know that was like I still remember pieces of advice that like
mm,
people came in and shared when I was like a student. So it's
yeah,
so nice that you're intentional about thinking about the students who may be confused or who
yeah,
may not want to do the traditional path. It's
right.
probably helping them in ways you don't even understand.
Oh,
Or maybe
thank
you
you.
do.
I don't think about it, but thank you for saying that.
Yes, no problem, no problem. Like I know I think about it all the time, and it's just always some person that's a little different from everyone else that gives you
Yeah.
just just faith that okay, I don't have to like, go into public relations or marketing or
Yeah.
there's so many different paths and most importantly, you can create your own path when there's not
Right.
something you want to do. So yeah,
Right.
love that you come back and you speak to our community and our students and just reassure them in any way possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to play a game really quick. So
Okay.
like, I know you've been off campus for some time now. You graduated in 2018, but we
Yeah.
still are going to play a game called Guess That Building. And to be honest, you might be a little bit better. Actually, I'm sorry, I misspoke. We're not playing the game this week, which is good for you because I never know the building.
I promise you, I don't even remember the name of the building that I spent the most time in.
I don't know what happened. I just stopped. It's like soon as I can remember, like if you ask me where I took a class, I could have walked to that building, but I
Yes.
absolutely cannot name it.
Tell you the name.
And it's funny when people who graduated in 1976 always get the names of the halls right. Like they can remember from like the 70s, but I can't remember from 2014.
From a couple years ago, yeah.
So we'll spare you today. We'll spare us today.
Thank you, because I was not gonna do good.
Okay, no problem. I am going to take a really quick commercial break. Um,
Okay.
just a moment to talk about a momentous moment happening in Westchester. A momentum is building as WCU celebrates its 150th anniversary and the announcement of a 65 million comprehensive campaign, 150 Forward. Visit www.wcufoundation.org/150 forward for your opportunity to make an impact. Okay. So we're going to end the show right now with 3 questions. These are questions that we ask every guest on Ramblings Live. So we're super excited to hear what you have to say.
Awesome.
What is your favorite memory during your time at Westchester?
My favorite memory. I have a lot, but the one that comes to mind first is I actually was chosen to speak at my Kente ceremony,
Wow.
which meant a lot to me. And my parents, it was like a double whammy because my parents, like I said, both graduated from Westchester, so they came up and they gave me my little stole to commemorate the fact that I was a legacy. So that was amazing. And then I delivered a speech to the Black and brown students from my class. So that was really amazing. I didn't even submit myself. One of my line sisters submit me without telling me. And like I said, like I just really didn't see that for myself even then. So to get chosen and then to have that moment with my parents and then to really speak and have people like resonate with my speech was great. Like I have people to this day still tell me that they go back and listen to it or they think about the things that I said or like they teared up like hearing me talk about my experience. So I would say that that's definitely like a Westchester best moment.
Yeah, that's like something out of a movie. Like having again that double whammy, having the the speech and your parents. I'm listening to I'm checking in on the chat now. Your speech was amazing, said Erica Martin. I love that. Okay, so the next question is what makes you proud to be a Westchester alumni?
I mean, Westchester was great. My experience there was great. The professors were great. And the ones that I really had a close relationship with, like we're friends on Facebook. I'll comment on their stuff. They'll comment on mine. They bought some like bookmarks and stuff for me. So I think the community aspect was really big to me, on campus, and also the community that continued after the fact. And also I met my line sister who has my godchildren on Westchester's campus. So, that's like so special to me. So Westchester completely changed my life in ways that I did not expect it to. But I'm really like happy and blessed and thankful that I went there.
I love that. That's so nice. That's
Mm-hmm.
so sweet. Best advice for current or graduating students at Westchester.
Yeah, so I'm just going to reiterate what I just said, is that like your journey is your own, and if it makes sense to you, it doesn't necessarily matter if it makes sense to anybody else, because you have to do what works for you, and what makes sense to you doesn't necessarily make sense to other people, and that's fine. It doesn't need to, because it's your dream to fulfill, not theirs. At the end of the day, they'll be doing what they're doing, and it'll be on you if you don't pursue what you want to do, and it kind of doesn't end up the way that you want it to be. And if you listen to those people who give you advice, and it doesn't end up working out for you, they're going to be like, oh, okay, well, my bad, and that's all like you have to live with. So I would definitely say just follow your own journey, know that your path is your own, and just like listen to yourself and trust yourself. And also, like, on like a mental note, I would say journal if you like journaling, and also like work on manifesting and stuff like that, because it's really helpful. Having like a positive outlook on life and your future is really, really helpful for getting you to where you want to get to.
I love that. I'm going to be taking that advice too. I feel like that's great advice for everybody, regardless of if you're currently in school or whatever phase in your life. So I really do appreciate those wise words and
Thank
you
you.
taking the time to just share your journey. This was such a great show. I'm so excited to stay connected with you.
Yes, we'll have to talk after the fact. So drop your number so we can connect.
Off the mic. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Danae. And thank
Yes.
you all. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm so sorry. Thank
Oh
you.
no, I was just saying yes. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much in the chat for making this a super fun, engaged show. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, bye.
Bye.